All right. So then we're going to learn the halacha, the shiur hefsek. If you're eating your suda, after how long you're going to lose the ability to say bench if it was a big hefsek. What's the hefsek? So I asked yesterday somebody, what do you think the shiur? What people know is a common knowledge. People say 72 minutes. They're equal. So where is this coming from? If you look in Shulchan Aruch, Kuf Pei Dalet, halacha hey, ad emosa yochel levorech, the lashon of the mechaber atshi isakel hamozon shebemeyav. Don't say we the shiur of 72 minutes. But kama shiuroi kol zman sheneroev machmas oiso achila. Yeah, as long as you, because what's the whole idea? The Levush explains this beautifully. He says the whole idea. I'm saying a bracha that I was as aid. I was satisfied. I have svia, and if you're roev, how are you going to say something on the svia? You're not svia anymore. You're roev again. U'mishosh hitchil yes roev. Aval bishul nisakel adayin legamre can nisakel legamre dainin and le. The moment you become hungry after your meal, you want to eat more. That's it. Even though maybe the digestion was not completely done yet, because as the Magen Avraham brings, the real digestion takes 6 hours by most people. But it says still you cannot say bench anymore. It doesn't mention the one word over here. Legabe the 72 minutes, and the Ramah over here also doesn't say anything. Mashma is masking with him. Now, if you look in the tour, when the Yosef, when he says the same thing over here, the Ramah Darcha Moshe over there, he says Abu Raham says Kosav the shiur equal mozen udalet milin va'achila mu'etes. The dalet milin 18 minutes for each meal. The meal is berach kilometer at 72 minutes. That's where it's coming from. Abu Raham. But where this is coming from? Not only where it's coming from, it's hepech Gemara Meforeshes. In the Gemara, in the beginning of Perek Shmini, it says in Baruchas like this. But Mosam Baruch, the Mishnah. That's the lashon of the Mishnah. The Gemara comes over there and says, "V'kamo shiur equal Amar Rav Yochanan kol zman sheneroev." Rav Yochanan holds as long as you're not hungry, meaning you didn't get hungry from this meal, you're saveya, you're going to say bench. If you're hungry, you're not going to say bench. Resh Lakish Amar kol zman sheyitzmo. If you're thirsty from machmas achilosa, if you still meaning you still the food brings urge to be thirsty because it takes a lot of the liquid inside the body, so you become thirsty. As long as you're still thirsty from that food, you're going to say bench. That looks at a longer zman. Anyway, but then the Gemara questioned Resh Lakish because somewhere else Resh Lakish says, "V'amar Resh Lakish kama shiur equal kedei la'alech arba milin." That's where the Abu Raham comes from. V'kasha kan b'achila meruba kan b'achila mu'etes. Which kan is machlokes Rashi v'Tosfos. Akoponim looks like the poskim take the sheet of the Tosfos. That achila meruba. He says kol zman shu tzomeh. Then shom kitzva, meaning achila meruba, when it's a big meal, chasana, bar mitzvah, Shabbos, Yom Tov, then we don't measure by 72 minutes, we measure as long as you're still thirsty for that meal, you still get a bench. Achila mu'etes, aval mu'ad dalet milin. Okay, so that's mashma, the dalet milin come from here. So because most poskim can follow the Tosfos, that's the pshat, not like Rashi, that achila mu'etes, a regular meal, eating your breakfast or eating a sandwich for lunch, whatever, achila mu'etes, after 72 minutes, you can some bench. The kasha is like this, very poshut. The halacha is Resh Lakish Rabbi Yochanan, the halacha Rabbi Yochanan. So l'choire, whoever learns the Gemara the most poshut way is the Bes Yosef. And so he says, here's what he says: Resh Lakish Rabbi Yochanan, halacha Rabbi Yochanan. Imemela v'ad mosa yechol levorach. Achi Isak Hashem. We don't know anything about arba milin, about 72 minutes. It's Resh Lakish, halacha like Rabbi Yochanan. So where does the Abu Raham come from and passing like Resh Lakish? Now, the theoretical part of it, as we could say, the poskim brings. And that Inyan, it wasn't Choyle Kanim. Without getting that, it takes a lot longer that we're going to spend over here. I just want to bring over here a few Inyanim, practical Inyanim. So we have to pay attention when we eat, especially by big Sudas, by Chasanas, especially when they go to dance in the middle of the Suda. A lot of times they have halachic problems whether you could continue to eat or could say bench. So and we read a few Nakudas over here that's important to remember. Okay, so here's what the Magen Avraham says. L'maiseh, the Darche Moshe that mentioned the shita of the Abu Raham, which is again, they work it out that Rabbi Yochanan, they're not choylek on this prat by Achila Mu'etes, that 72 minutes, that's how they work it out. Upon him, the Darche Moshe himself looks like he's changed his mind, because on the Shulchan Aruch, he didn't do any Hagor. He must him with the Mechaber. Pashtus, like Rabbi Yochanan, Sakel Amozan Shebemeyav, would judge how much is this, we don't know. It's a gray area. You don't feel hungry, you could say it. There's no exact scientific time on it. So, and by the way, same thing the Levush following the Shulchan Aruch, not what the Darche Moshe says in the Abu Raham. And like I said, he brings clarity a little bit into this halacha. The Levush mentioned like this. He said this, he adds two words that explain this whole halacha better. Im shochach. If you forgot, meaning if you didn't forget, in the middle of the meal, you're still eating, then there's no question over there. It's all hemshech echad. If you forgot, especially like I said by the chasna, you're dancing. You went to dancing and then you forgot. I didn't bench it. I said, I ate my suda. I'm going to continue. Now they're going to bring the main course. I'm going to continue. But if it was after a while, maybe you can't eat anymore. So then he goes to this. It says that the whole achila, the whole bench, it's what you ate. If you're already hungry, you can't bench on it. So the choira looks like all the major poskim, they're following the mechaber, the way he learned the pshat pashtus, that you don't judge by 72 minutes at all. It doesn't exist at 72 minutes. You judge by how much you're hungry. Now, the Mogen Avram revives this shita. The Mogen Avram says, he brings it Abu Draham, and he says the Hiluch Dalet Milin. Vu Shov Chomesh. It's 72 minutes. Shov Chomesh. Chomesh Pashot. 12 minutes. Shov Chomesh. 72 minutes. Yeah. Then it's like this. Then the Mogen Avram says this. Venireli. He says, the high ikul tchilas ikulu, the sof ikul avesh shos. Obviously, the mamash the ikul completely digestion that takes 6 hours. But if it already started the ikul, especially if after 72 minutes, you can't say anymore. No, then because what's about the big chasnas? Since what's going on the big chas, big sudas, Shabbos v'Yom Tov. Sometimes there's drushes in the middle. So he says, "Sudas gedol esav yeshim dalet ohei shos kodem shmevorchim v'enanochem." He says, "V'lochen yesh levorach miyad." So he gives two eitzes. Eat before you go to dance, make say your bench, or on Shabbos if you're going to be marich b'suda, say your bench, then say your divrei Torah. Oh, the second is loymar. Kevan she'oiskim b'shisiu par peros kolonis akel domi. If you still continue to eat, you eat something, you drink something, you eat something in the suda. Mamela, that's all one big hemshech. But you have to make sure to continue to eat. If they're going to say droshes for 2 hours and then they're going back to eat, they can't. It's a big problem. So that's what you have to make sure. B'sudas gedolos, don't make a big internal. Keep on eating. This way is going to be hemshech of your suda. Okay, so that's one inyan. So paying attention, like big suudas to eat. Then there's another thing. The Aruch HaShulchan, he says a chidush of it. It's a belosha nireli. He says the Aruch HaShulchan says like this: what happens if you have a suffix? According to you want to go to mechaber, that you want to mashar according to your roev tzomeh, you don't know how much is I'm hungry, how much I'm not, and the Mogen Avram said I didn't read it inside that you if you're a little bit hungry but you were a lot hungrier before you start eating, you're still going to say bench because you stay on that shiur svia, not completely. You're going to say bench. So he says, what happens if you have a suffix? I'm not sure now. After learning this halacha, I'm not sure whether the chasna, a big meal, and Shabbos Yom Tov. I have a suffix. I'm a roev. I'm not roev. I should say bench. Should not say bench. So that says the.
You don't wait for after every bite.
What? You're right. So that's what he says. He said, so sometimes, you're in the middle of the suda. He didn't forget. That's why I mentioned the levush. In shochach. He didn't shicham. Continued eating. I don't have to eat every second. So he said like this. If you, after a big hefsek, and you have a suffix, he says like this. The lotion of the Aruch HaShulchan is like this. V'yiroeli. B'chlal advarim. Kshesh suffix etzel ha'odam. Im shok de'ikul im lav. He says, because that's other halachas that got other foods. Says, tzorich levar birkas hamazon, u'b'shar advarim lo yivarach. Since because of the raisa, sveka the raisa v'chumra, when you have a suffix, you're going to say bench. Other brachas, we have some svekas, we're going to learn about the other days. Then you don't say when you have a suffix because only birkas of the raisa. Now, according to this comes another chiddush, which is that's a very important yesod. He's telling us we have a suffix by birkas hamazon. You're not sure I'm a roev, I'm not roev. I have big not if you have a suffix. If sometimes it's vadai, you waited so many hours and then you're hungry, you need to eat again. Then you lost your birkas hamazon. You lost the bracha rishona even. They talk about it. Here's the next thing is Kaf HaChaim brings hemshech to this Aruch HaShulchan would be if the whole thing when you suffix you say bracha because at the rise isha she'ochlo kedei svia when you stop on bircha. A woman, if she has a suffix, a man has a suffix, forget about interruption. He has a suffix if he says birkas hamazon. He forgot, he's not sure. You have to say it. Why? Because it's deraisa, it's fekel l'chumra. A woman, her birkas hamazon, the Gemara brings a shaila if it's deraisa or not. He's a shach like this when he's some birka. It's not minat Torah. So Mamela, according to this, a woman by a suffix or suffix roev, suffix not roev, she would not say birkas hamazon. Because by her it's not deraisa. It's a svega deraisa. It's a suffix of a suffix. Suffix if she mechuyev or not. Then a second suffix if she is now mechuyev levar because maybe she lost the ability to say birkas hamazon. So that's according to this, a woman the same position as the man, she would not say baruch achronim. Then there's another thing by a man also. There's also a nice var chidush. He was thirsty to drink and he didn't drink. When he stopped in birech or in stapek im adain roev or not legabe ar an alochem and mo varach mezak when there's something the birkas hamazon in Torah
if he has to make shackle.
No, there's an opinion if you ate v'chalta v'savata, it's with a shsia also. Achila v'shsia.
So he didn't
If
drink.
you chill it in drink, it bechal maybe not bechal
Not
not with the rice. It's a suffix. Memele when you suffix sedber not din because I'm also suffix roev not roev. You say it's the rice. The minute there's a suffix bechal the rice at all because I'm you lost. That's why the conclusion of this halacha, the summary conclusion, when we eat, have to pay attention. We should not make big afsokes. And if he's a big suda, continue to eat something. Otherwise, you're gonna have a lot of sfikis. If I have to say bracha rishoina, if I could say bracha achroina on my food, that's why make sure the chasanas when you go to dance come back to eat something because otherwise you're gonna have a lot of shilas with bracha rishoina or bracha achroina.
What if you don't